All right, welcome to Destination Freedom. I am Christopher Gronsky. I'm glad you're on. It's been a while since we've been on, and I'm glad you're here. Um, if you're watching this on Facebook, be sure to like and I guess you can follow our Facebook page. And if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, all those things help a lot, and we move forward. Uh, my wife and I have been down in Florida for a while. I mean, Michael and I were, and my brother were in Acapulco at the in Acapulco conference. That was excellent. We have a great time down there. Nothing better than being in the Pacific Ocean in February. So that was a good time. And then we came back for a short time in New Hampshire, and then my wife and I took off for Florida. And typically we'll go down through Virginia Beach, and then we'll end up in Florida. I got to see my aunt. Um, and my cousin, and that was a lovely time. It's always great to be with them. Then we had some clients that uh, invited us down to Miami, and they set us up in Fort Lauderdale, and we had an awesome time there. That is a stunning area, beautiful to be, and we enjoyed ourselves immensely, and had a nice dinner with them. And these are wonderful clients, and so I'm really blessed. Uh, so that was a lot of fun. And then we were back up in Orlando. We were there for a couple weeks. I had that bad streaming, and so it was very difficult to do the broadcast from that particular resort. There's a lot of people at this resort, and I'm sure everybody was online, and that becomes problematic. So right now we were in Virginia, and we just came up today. We're in Delaware, and the beautiful, no, what am I saying? I'm saying we're in Wilmington, Delaware. We're moving towards this is a suburb of New York City, and this whole area, this New Jersey, New York City area, I try to avoid like the plague. And not that we don't have clients around here, and every place has its beauty. I'm not saying that, but just my own concern, fear, or whatever it is. But the moment that I hit the New Jersey Turnpike, we like to drive all the way around the Garden State Parkway, all the way around through a little bit of New York. Never, unless we were going into New York City, would I ever go through New York City to go to New England. Always will drive way around it, try to avoid as much traffic as possible. And then we get up through into Connecticut, right through Connecticut. Then we're boom, the small place, go through Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts, home of Dr. Naismith, the inventor of basketball. They have the Basketball Hall of Fame there. And we're right up into New Hampshire, and then we're home free. And somehow, when we're driving up like that, I can't wait to get across the New Hampshire border because I feel like I'm home. And if I could just get over the New Hampshire border, I could walk home. It's okay as long as I can get to New Hampshire. So that's always nice. And so that's coming up tomorrow. So we'll be driving up. We'll be back into New Hampshire, back at the office. We'll be enjoying our full swing, but it'll be short lived because by the 9th, Michael and I will be flying to Lieberland to be a part of Lieberland's 10th anniversary. And so Lieberland's a really important work of freedom. I highly recommend being a part of that. And so anyway, what I'd like to do, and I think I'll make arrangements um, after we get back from Lieberland. I'll invite Vit on and see if we can do a broadcast with him so he can talk about Lieberland and what Lieberland is for um, Americans who want to be a part of that project. And then we'll talk about our relationship with Lieberland and the clients that are part of the Lieberland project, and how we are committed to supporting Lieberland through anybody that's a part of the Lieberland project, and they do our passport process. We will contribute and donate money to the Lieberland project. So that's part of our commitment to Lieberland, and it's really exciting. Michael and I both intend to be citizens of Lieberland, and I imagine the little missus, you want to be a citizen of Lieberland too? She's got her headphones on. That's all right. I'm sure Elizabeth wants to be a citizen of Liberland as well. So anyway, so we'll all be part of that, and that's really exciting and coming up. So what else is coming up? We also have, I guess, coming up this summer in June, towards the third or the fourth week in June. I don't know off the top of my head. Is Pork Fest, and so Pork Fest is that part of the Free State Project. It's the summertime. Um, it's the summertime event for in New Hampshire for the Free State Project. If you haven't heard of the Free State Project, um, you can check out FSP dot. I believe it's .org. It could be um, .com, but I believe it's .org. FSP Free State Project, and so anyway, that's coming up in the summer. So if you'd like to come up, do some camping for a week, love to see you and hang out, and it'll be great to be back in the swing of things. So tonight, so we're going to enjoy tonight's broadcast. Glad that you're on. I want to talk about communism, a real popular topic today. Not really, I think one of the ways that the communists take control of the dialogue or whatever it is that they govern language. I'm going to talk about that. I have a book that I highly recommend, and it's called "You Can Trust the Communist to Be Communist." That's the book, and it's I've just bought a few copies of it on eBay, and it's an excellent book, and I think it'd be a good read. That would be a wonderful read on a regular basis, and actually do a conversation around that. But listen, communism is in full swing, and if you don't know the communism, listen, America is a communist country. Now that's pretty ballsy to say that, right? But listen, le- it's under the guise of land of the free, home of the brave. It's all airplanes flying over the football stadium, and we're waving our flags, you know, jerking off like we know what liberty and freedom is about. Okay, but Americans don't choose that. Why? Listen, if you're an American, you've never read the Communist Manifesto, then you're not knowledgeable about communism. One of the best organizations that actually was excellent, and maybe they still are. I haven't been a part of them in a while, but I was a chapter leader for the John Birch Society. And so they always were on how communism is being promoted by our government. Our Congress, over the years, with FDR being a big communist himself, our Congress has adopted all 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. So we, by law, are practicing communism, all the while we pretend like we care about liberty and freedom. It's just a fantasy, folks. It's the wrapping, but there's a big turd inside of our red, white, and blue wrappings. So, and again, most Americans, I'm just generalizing, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, all you have to do is ask yourself, have you actually read the Declaration of Independence? If you haven't, you can get a good understanding of it by going to DestinationFreedom.org and taking our state citizenship class. We go over quite a bit of detail with the Declaration of Independence, and to me, that document is just about sacred. I don't put it in the same category as the scriptures, but it is sacred, and really, there's a lot to look into that, and it'd be a fun thing to take a look at all of their grievances. Um, but what I find is excellent. If you want to read it, read the opening before they get to the redress of grievances, the opening of the Declaration of Independence, and then the closing of it. It is a powerful document. It speaks to the entire world, like it says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them. I mean, this is a document that's for the world, declaring to the world that these colonies, these former colonies, are now states and countries of their own. And that's what America is. And a lot of people aren't aware that America is a union. You know, in the Constitution, it guarantees to every state that they'll have a representative form of government, okay? A Republican form of government. The Articles of Confederation had a perpetual union, okay? It's a confederation. We have a confederation of states. These states are free and independent. These states are the power that would ratify the Constitution if there was a constitutional amendment that would come in. The states would keep the federal government from changing the Constitution. They have the power to do that. Or these states, if an amendment was presented, these states are the ones that have the power to change the Constitution. The federal government has no authority to change the Constitution. End of story. Full stop. But anyway, I digress. Communism is what I want to talk a little bit about. So anyway, I have some notes, some highlights that I've had from the book. You Can Trust the Communists to Be Communists. And really, you should understand and read it so that you understand by principle what's really going on with respect to communism. Or you can say Marxism, and that's a very popular way of describing these kinds of beliefs. The problem is, I think communism actually is more of a derogatory statement, so I tend to use that. So it says, Marxism is the doctrine of the universality of class warfare. Okay, the war was originally discovered, not declared, by Karl Marx. It is between two classes of society, which he calls the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. Okay, the bourgeoisie is the class of property ownership. The class that owns the means of production. The proletariat, he defined as the class of wage labor. Now, so let me just back that up so you really understand. And this is why politicians want to make sure you have jobs, because jobs is wages, and that creates the class of labor. Okay. And let me tell you something, the government benefits from class labor because they're taxing labor, at least in the federal income tax, and therefore they benefit when people have jobs. Our clients, our people, what we recommend for people is to quit your job. Stop working for these corporations. And listen, morally speaking, it'd be no problem to work for a company, okay, but contract with them. Understand your value. But they recognize, and you can see it all the time, that there is a class warfare between those that own the means of production. That would be what some would say is the capitalists. At the same time, if you have ignorant labor, then they just feel like they're being ripped off, or they may even feel like slaves. They're getting paid, but it's never enough. And this whole thing, even with tips and tax, I mean, you can clearly see the class warfare. Where in America, it isn't land of the free, home of the brave. It's screw the rich. That's the sentiment of America these days. Screw the rich. That's why they hate Trump. They hate Elon Musk. It's screw the rich, or they're only benefiting the rich. You can see the class struggle. Now, the communists, they capitalize on that struggle. And as a Christian, or as someone who's moral, there should never be a war between those that own the means of production. And what does that mean? Let me just talk a little bit about that. A capitalist, when you have capital, when you have an asset, and you want to use that asset for your benefit, I highly recommend that. Never sell your life by the hour in that way. That's not the best. It's okay. I mean, it's good to have work, if you will. God has called us to work or to labor, okay? But you can partner up and contract with anybody that has capital. They want to do a thing, and you may be the labor for it. And if you're good, if you're really good at, and you don't mind, you show up on time, you have a great attitude, you perform, nothing wrong with work, then you may sell that time for a significant amount of money. And let me tell you something in the market right now. Mark my words. Anybody who's not lazy, that doesn't mind putting in good work, you always should get paid far more than anybody else around you. And there's so much work that's needed out there. There's no such thing as there's no jobs. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Okay. There's always work. Every restaurant is looking for someone who's really good. Every retail outlet is always looking for good people. Now, that's not saying that they treat their people well. It's another relationship. And if you understand the history of unions, is people felt powerless because there might be one company in town. But if you look at the Industrial Revolution and you see companies and factories coming in, you see people coming off the farm, which is really was the best place for them to work. The you see that you'll see that people left the farm. That the farm was making them money, and they were helping their goose, their farm, create their living. People moved to the cities, and then you had the factories, and that changed the dynamic of the family. Dad was no longer available to his children. He left the farm, left mom at home, and went to work. This was a destruction of the family unit, and was part of the plan of the communists to take control. And listen, the communists ultimately are having government um, prevail. But the idea of you can trust the communists, you should understand that communists are they're always about this class warfare, and they exploit it. Even though communists many times may enjoy the benefits of capitalism, which capitalism just means that you have property and you use it to make you money. You may own an apartment building, and it may make you money because someone may rent it and things like that. Okay. So listen, the beauty of freedom is to have your capital make money. Now, when you understand the difference of different levels of communism, if you will, and again, this is worth studying so that you can have intelligence around the economics of what's really transpiring. Because when people are free, they own their own property. Private property is a freedom thing, and of course, you're being taxed in your private property. But see, in the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, the elimination of private property is one of the planks. Second plank of the Communist Manifesto is public education. That's not a good thing, folks. That's a bad thing. Homeschooling is the best. And privately, if you hire a teacher privately among a number of families or whatever, there's nothing wrong with a teacher who's serving the parents. They don't need government in the education of kids. That's an abomination. Listen, I've said this before. Anything teamed up with government, let's back up more. The only purpose of government is to secure rights. That's it. When government steps into another area of life, it's a criminal act. It's wrong. It's bad. It's always bad. It's never good. So when you have government and you add something as good as education, you have government in it, you just shit all over education. And look, I'm just telling you the facts. If you look at the origin of the NEA, the National Education Association, or whatever it is, what the federal government set up from when it began, and you look at the quality of education they had at that time, the purpose of the communists was to have government in that so that they could dumb down America, and it's worked. More money is in government than's ever been. And we have stupider people, the most stupid people ever, bar none, don't um, understand elements of economics. It's just astonishing. And so yeah, so that's playing out. So look, charity is a good thing. Charity with government, if government's taking care of people, bad. You just killed charity, okay? Because you can't tax people and then think you can give it to somebody else. You eliminate God in that whole thing, so what else is? How about banking? Private banking is good when people pool their resources and help each other. That's a good thing. Private banking is a good thing. Government in the banking's bad. You just corrupted banking. That's very bad. So anything that you put in government, uh, something that's good. Business in with government, you have corporations. That's a bad thing. So that's all. It's just the way it is. So this is the way it plays out if you understand how liberty and freedom works. So the war, we're talking about class warfare between those that own the means of production and labor. Or you have the war. This war was originally discovered, not declared by Karl Marx. It was between the two classes, you see. And that's when you hear them talking about the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. So it's that class warfare. And you see that today. You see people playing out. Now, interesting thing is that when you talk about the weapons of this warfare between this class struggle, and listen, it doesn't have to be a class struggle. Someone has the means of creating a business is a good thing. That's what capitalism's all about. And of course, they may need to help people, and that's not a bad thing either, because it creates work for people so that they can feed their family and all that stuff. And let me tell you, love is a wonderful governance of that. And so, when you're considering people, and you're taking good care of the people that are working for your business, that's not a bad thing. That's quite wonderful. But if there is envy between them, if those that own the means of production, the owners of the company, despitefully use their labor, that's a bad thing. It's never good to use people. Love is calling us out of that. And if the people that are working for the company are envious of the owners and say, like, oh, they're getting ripped, they're not, because the labor is not risking their capital in the venture. The laborer is just getting compensated for their time. Okay. So they're not risking like the owner of the company is doing. They take their capital that they've earned, that they may have obtained in some capacity, and they're playing it out. Now, that's not saying that they're borrowing from banks and all that. All that banking debt crap is also bad. And if you don't think that they're hand in hand with corporations, and let me say, I'm not saying that everyone who's rich is moral. That's not true, because when you're looking at the immorality in the economics, you have greedy rich people and greedy poor people. And then you have loving rich people and loving poor people. And so it's how good someone isn't based upon their economics in that capacity. But when we talk about this warfare between class struggle, the weapons of the warfare are not merely the classical weapons of guns, tanks, bombs, and aircraft. The weapons are universal. Education for a communist is a weapon. Language is a weapon. And trade is a weapon. Diplomacy is a weapon. Religion is a weapon. Cultural interchange is a weapon. The communists view every act and judge every situation as part of class war. And it's interesting too, is when you study communism and you see that they want to debate, the communists are never interested in winning the debate. All they want to do is present their ideas and touch the heartstrings of people so that they can feel like they're getting ripped off or whatever. And it's always the same thing. And in New Hampshire, there's a woman who wants to run for Congress. I'm going to do my best to talk her out of it. I'll see if she'll run for governor. And then in that capacity, but she has a firsthand experience of communism. She sees how they break up families. She sees how they exploit children and get children to turn on their parents. That's happening in America even now as I speak. And it's just communism. This is old ways. It's happening right now. And so one of the things that the communists do is they destroy your culture. They eliminate your history so you don't know who you are and where you came from. And so the government is the one that wants to be the father of the families, the father of women, things like that. And they make it beneficial to women, to economically beneficial to women, to break up their families, leave their husbands. And then the communist governments will work the men in some capacity, send them off to war, whatever it is. It's all part of that communist plan. And so it's interesting is, when you're talking about some of the other things that I liked about looking into this, it says it's amazing. War is one of those big things that the communists exploit. So anybody who's an advocate of war, any of these skirmishes is really promoting communism. And listen, ignorant people are easy to control. And people that join the military service think they're doing things for a righteous cause. They do not. Most every war, most every war uh, does not have honorable ends to it. If you have a righteous cause, you will never need to conscript or to draft people into war. You only have to draft people into unrighteous wars. Okay. And so the idea is that if you have a righteous cause, then people will step up all the time. It's always good men will always defend the righteous. They will always defend those that are their rights are being violated. It's only unrighteous men in power who compel others to go off to war. Peace. It's an interesting thing about peace. It says, since the communists are at war, they naturally desire peace. Whenever you find a communist, you'll always find an advocate of peace. Peace is one of the golden words of the vocabulary. They have peace movements of every kind. They have peace campaigns, peace prizes, peace conferences, peace processes. Every communist is a devotee of peace. I'll give you an example that you can understand. Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize, and you should look at the wars that he was involved with. He's hardly an advocate for peace, but nonetheless, that's what communists do. Um, so it's interesting when you're thinking about the communists and the concepts of truth. Some of us believe that the Bible or the Scripture, the Word of God, is truth, and for me, truth is absolute. There's not your truth, my truth. There is one truth of life. Now, I may only understand or know a bit of truth, and you may understand another aspect of truth that I didn't comprehend. So it's in our best interest to share each other so we can be more enlightened, so that we both can be true. But we can't have conflicting and both believing truth. It doesn't work that way. Okay. And the relativists are saying there is no truth, it's your truth. And they believe that is true. Absolutely, that there's no truth. So again, they don't really understand the concept of truth, that it can't conflict with each other. There isn't my truth, your truth. There's just truth. All right. But the communists invariably tell the truth, but it's the Marxist Leninist truth. Those that believe that communists will lie in the interest of communism are mistaken. In fact, it's not possible for a communist to lie in the interest of communism. By definition, if a statement is in the interest of communism, it is the truth. You see, um, jesting Pilate asked the question, what is truth? Christians believe the truth, God is truth. Truth is the quality of God himself, an absolute God created an absolute truth. Truth is. The communists affirm that this is nonsense. There is no God. There are no absolutes. Everything is relative. Truth itself is a relative idea of class struggle. So, truth is a weapon of class war, and any statement that advances the communist conquest is true. So you see, and listen, the way that you can see this is exactly the way the Democrats behave. Okay, and listen, and just because I'm making an example of the communists in the Democrat Party, I'm telling you, they're communists in the Republican Party as well, and we can talk about that in a minute. But anyway, but the idea that the Democrats or the liberals, because the two parties are just names. You have liberals, and that's modern liberal, not the old-fashioned liberal that were interested in liberty. But they pretend to be advocates for women. They are not. They're advocates for women when they want the woman's vote. Okay. They make like they're advocates of blacks because they want the blacks vote. They make like they're advocates of the homosexuals or the gays because they want the gays vote. Because when you take a look at it, it's only the party platform that unifies them. Because if there was a gay person that was conservative, they don't care about them being gay. It's the party platform. If a woman is conservative and she's not voting for the party, then they don't care about women. And so they're only listen, this is important. They're only concerned with their party platform. They don't care about individual individual rights or any of that stuff. And so that's the reality. And you can just take a look at it. It's right now the Democrats are have some bizarre morality and bonker concepts, and they're in a complete alignment with the Communist Party and the communist agenda. And that's and then you have ignorant people. So let's go on the other side, dealing with the Republicans and the problems they have. Republicans are warmongers, and they'll warmonger for bizarre reasons. And the whole thing going on in the Middle East, let me see, there's nothing that's good comes out of the Middle East. And anytime the Americans are in that in any way that you might think is righteous is bullcrap. Okay. It's not that, they're not there for peace. And never forget that the Bush administration invaded a country which America's never formally done before. But Americans, our corrupt government invades countries, kills people, does all this world, all the things that we want smaller countries not do, or we say is immoral or wrong or murder. We do all the time. It's a fact. And every administration has these problems, all in the name of what? Money, profit, all that stuff. It's a mess. It's a stinking mess. The union is done, folks. There's no redeeming it. And listen, what's going on now? Listen, what's going on now in this administration is happening because the people are demanding it. And this is just the deep state's answer to that demand. Because if Trump wasn't in office, I call him the big pacifier. He's pacifying people that are sick and tired, and so that's what's happening. And people like what's happening. It's a fact. And if you don't think the American people are into that, you're not paying attention. They are. They're sick and tired of welfare going out and all of the massive corruption and fraud and all that. But while they focus on this one place and they root out this crap, don't think that it's not happening everywhere. Everywhere. Listen, the military industrial complex, or I should say the Defense Department, lost $6 trillion, if not more. You have no idea what $1 trillion is. It's obscene. Oops, we lost it. No one's going to go to jail. It's a stinking crime. And listen, Republicans are in on that as well. So the idea is that this is all part of it. So here's what's happening. One of the things happening is that they're calling Trump or let's say Elon Musk fascists. Well, it's amazing that these people that are calling them fascists do not understand what fascism is. Okay. And so it isn't just about the rich. Fascism, as Mussolini says, is corporatism. So listen, any of these advocates of corporations, we have fascism in America because government in with business is fascism, but it isn't necessarily Elon Musk in and of himself. Listen, it's massive fascism. And both the Republicans and Democrats practice fascism in a big way. Like I said, our government, this government and I did that thing. I said our government, all right, that government. Listen, I gave up on the union. I don't send people to DC anymore. I'm only voting for people in New Hampshire. So when I vote, I protest vote. I don't want anybody, and I'm committed to so much not to have anything happening in DC that one of any candidate that I know that's going to go to Washington, wants to be a congressman or whatever, I'm going to talk them out of it. Okay. And I'll invite them that I'll raise money for their behalf. I'll support their campaign if they'll run in New Hampshire. And if they're willing to kick the federal government out of New Hampshire, I'll support that in a big way. And that's what I advocate for them. And so there's Lily Tang is one of these women that were running for Congress. She didn't win, and I'm glad because she's a good woman. I'd like to see her stay in New Hampshire and change New Hampshire. So that's what I'm going to encourage her to do. So I highly recommend that you read the book. You Can Trust the Communists to Be Communists. And this interesting is I have an article. It's really wild because Naki Loab was a publisher, and I believe he was the publisher of the the Union Leader, which is the only state paper in New Hampshire, and he was a big advocate for freedom and was always hit at communism. And so I have articles and things, and even a book about who is Naki Loeb, and and it's really cool how all these things, because I found that a paper in my book that I got, that you can trust the communists be communists. So it's really really powerful, and especially um, dealing with the communists that are prevalent all around us. Here's one of the statements: that Hitler worked on the principle, tell a lie, make it big, repeat it often, and the majority of people will believe you. The communists have further developed this concept. Any lie that advances communist conquest is, by definition, not a lie, but the Marxist Leninist truth. The majority of communists can be judged by the extent to which he can divorce himself from the evidence of his senses and totally identify himself with the verdict of the Communist Party. That's a true communist that only is dedicated to the party platform. And we definitely have communists in both parties, and they are advancing both. They're moving them both, and you see the whole mess goes down the street. So anyway, that's some of. See if there's anything else. That's there's some stuff in there. So anyway, the whole book is excellent. I just had some points that I wanted to make uh, at that time. So so let me thank you for being on tonight, and thank you for listening to some of that. Um, we will be let's see. I'm just trying to see. We have some. We're going to be connecting with a bunch of groups. We are working, doing a call tomorrow night. Um, that'll be our Bible study type thing, and we're actually doing we're going through a book called The Three Battlegrounds by Francis Frangipane, and so that's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But that's a Thursday night. You're welcome to be a part of that. You can go to our Bible study page that's on Destination Freedom, and you'll see there's a link for that call, and you can be a part of that as well. Um, Yes. So I wanted to see if we had any questions before we call it quits. And Martha, thanks so much for being on. It's good to have you on here. We'll have to set up some time. We're probably, when we get back, as we get into some of the warmer temperatures, we'll probably plan a barbecue, or a big bonfire and all that, and we'll get together, and looking forward to hooking up with everybody. Nice to have you on, Lawrence. It's good to see you in the chat. If anybody has any questions, you can ask them in the chat. I'll be glad to talk about state citizenship. Um, and you can check out our other YouTube channels. Uh, it was, I was hoping that we were going to have the website updated. We do have a web development team on that, but we've had some breakdown in communication, so I'm hoping to get that up and running here, maybe before we get back from Lieberland. So we'll be dealing with some of that. Just want to make sure that I don't miss anybody's questions here. So um, let's see, I got my Samuel Adams here. We're relaxing in the room. No questions. Wow, that's amazing. I did want to address one side note here. Yesterday was the holiday for fools, April Fool's Day. And so anyway, I put an email out and told people we're all shutting our doors down and all that stuff, and that it had been a good run, and thanks a lot. So that was interesting, and we got a lot of some good blowback. Some people recognized right away that um, it was April Fool's Day, but some people were concerned that we were shutting down. Listen, I'm not. You'll know when we're leaving. We'll lead up to it and all that stuff, or it'll be something grand. But I'm not intending that. We're actually bringing on. I'm actually looking for some people who would like to promote our passport process and our these processes, and we want to more people on to to do some expanding. And we're interested in doing podcasts. If anybody has a podcast, I just wrote a paper that we're going to publish. It's just finished, and so it's been edited, and so we're going to get that out there. And we're looking to publish that in a number of publications. We'll see what people want to say, and then and I'm in the midst of working on the book. Um, state versus federal citizenship, the unknown choice, and and that's coming. So we're working hard at editing that. I've embarked on reading and writing every morning, so that's part of my commitment. That's the only way it's going to happen. So all right. Well, thank you so much for being on. And thanks for this particular video. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you've been on seeing us on Facebook, reach out. If you have questions at all, just write them in the comments and I'll come across them or we'll get them answered. Or you can go to DestinationFreedom.org and there is a contact us button. Or you can write a question to state citizen at DestinationFreedom.org and we'll be glad uh, to get it answered for you or set up on a call and and get you more information. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on, and we love you. And oh, there's Alan says communism and how it's playing out here. Yeah, it's well, just like just turn on the TV and look at the political arena, you'll see communism is full swing between those that own the means of production and the class, the labor, and just see how that harmony is working out. If you're not seeing harmony, then you're observing that class struggle, or what the communists like, the class warfare, and then they exploit it. It's all good. Oh, that's cool. Thanks so much, Jed. I appreciate you a lot. And so anyway, so thanks so much for being on. You guys are awesome, and we will see you next week, just the same time. Oh wait, no, next week. What is next week? Let me just check in a second here. I don't think we'll be traveling um, next Wednesday, so that'll be a tough one to try to meet. We'll be in the air, so if we don't do something, no, pushing Tuesday night, the next night. I don't know if anything's happening. What we'll do, here's what we'll do if we can. We have internet. We will do a broadcast once we get to Lieberland, and then we'll set it out. So we'll send out an email, let you know. It might be on Thursday or Friday um, of next week. We'll do a call, and we'll do it from Lieberland. That'll be kind of fun. And again, I'm going to try to get Vit, the president of Lieberland, on our call. That would be cool if I could get him over to where we're staying, and we'll do it next week and talk about Lieberland. I'll see. I know he's going to be really busy with the anniversary, but that would be kind of cool. All right. And sorry, Lawrence, for the April Fools, but you're the best. All right. See you guys next time. All right. Take care. God bless you. All right.